Welcome to the Stars Aligned Dramas and Dreams podcast, where the infinite sky meets the starry world of dramas. We're your guides through the cosmos, from heart-stopping queer love stories to straight dramas of unexpected love.
Every unforgettable moment in between that make us swoon, laugh, and cry. And, of course, we'll sprinkle in a little stardust along the way.
I'm Nixie, your drama enthusiast, ready to break down the best, and sometimes most chaotic, storylines, filming techniques, and the worlds we can't stop obsessing over.
And I'm Cyrus, here to delve into characters, themes, and symbolism that invoke emotions that resonate with us in powerful and lasting ways.
Each week, we'll explore the stellar journey of love, identity, and connection, one drama and one dream at a time. Today we orbit this series' satellite, where we'll discuss everything a series has to offer. Our satellite this week is orbiting Pluto.
So, gather your stardust, find your spot under the stars, and let's dive in.
Let's begin by taking a look in the stars, where we take a closer look at the synopsis that captivate us and the stars on and off screen who make every moment shine. Join us this week as we stargaze into the captivating world of Pluto. But before we can stargaze deeper, we must start by discussing the basics. Pluto is a 2024 Thai GL produced by GMM25. The show can be watched on YouTube and it has 12 episodes with a duration of 55 minutes, which makes it approximately 11 hours long.
The synopsis reads, Ai-oon is the disappointing twin of successful and beloved Ob-oom. They aren't close. On Ob-oom's wedding night, she takes Ai-oon aside and makes a request of her. Ob-oom and her husband, Paul, are going away for their honeymoon, and she will be leaving something important behind, a lover, May, she hasn't broken up with, and she wants Ai-oon to do it for her. In the early morning following the wedding, Ai-oon learns that the newlyweds got into an accident. Paul has passed away, and Ob-oom is in a coma. When Ai-oon decides to fulfill her sister's request, she's shocked to learn that May is both blind and a woman. She finds herself unprepared to complete the task. Adapted from the novel Pluto by Chow Ponoy.
I actually think this is a pretty good description, believe it or not.
I agree.
I will say that I did have, for some weird reason, a completely different impression going into the series, but I don't think that was the synopsis fault. That was actually my own. But for something I do like for the synopsis, we don't often point out things we like about synopsis. We usually dislike synopsis. But for this one, I have to say, I do like the setup for the twins. It immediately gives you the dynamic of what you're going to expect. I mean, yes, it's going to end up being kind of different because it's gonna be a misunderstanding kind of twin situation, but that's what you want. You want to be led in with the idea that Ai-oon is the disappointing twin between her and Ob-oom, right? So I really like how they word that and be like, what you can tell immediately who's favored, who's favoritized between them.
Even if it's not, it's a thing of it's a misunderstanding, but it's also the way that that Ai-oon views herself in the dynamic with both her twin and her grandma, and that is a journey that she has to kind of go through throughout the series. It's very fun. It's very nice.
Yeah, I really like this one. I think this is definitely the best one we've come across for the synopsis we've read, especially for the GLs that we've done.
I agree, yeah.
The one before, I think the first one was the worst because it didn't have enough information. The second one with Petrichor was just really novel-based kind of synopsis, and I feel like there's usually significant writing differences between novels and series for some weird reason, but there is. And because it was just the synopsis of the novel and not the series, that was kind of a conflict. And in this one, I actually think, unless it's sourced and we don't know that it's sourced from a novel or anything like that, like Petrichor, because it doesn't state that, I do think that it's a well-written synopsis.
I agree.
The stars that guide Pluto shine brightly. Let's meet the cast and crew who make it shine. The main couple is Namtan Tiparani, who plays both Ai-oon and Ob-oom, and Film Rashanan plays May. There is a secondary couple, Saisi Lotashisha as Peng, and Priyalpat as Jan. And we cannot forget Klopok Ploy Nila, who plays Pim. This drama was directed by Snap 25 team, who have worked on titles like P.S. I Hate You and The Jungle. Of Nobanat was the producer. He has a long, long history of great works under his belt that includes, but is not limited to, Us, 23.5, The Warp Effect, Last Twilight, A Tale of a Thousand Stars, and much, much more.
And while there are a lot more talented people who worked on the show, we unfortunately do not have the time to talk about everyone, but we would like to further highlight some of our thoughts about the cast and crew. First and foremost, didn't learn until this exact moment that's how you pronounce Saisi's name.
It's okay. We both thought the same.
It's romanized so weird.
Yeah, Ciize, which
I love this girl so much. I've just been calling her Cheese.
I mean, why not? Why not? I just know in order for me to do my cast readings when I'm doing those, I usually hunt down the native spelling of their names, throw it into translation, and then listen to it back. Not for the translation, but like the original. Like if I'm throwing in Thai, I listen to the Thai. And that's how I found out it's Saisi. And I was like, wow, we were so off about her name. And it's
This
so sad.
this feels like Yugyum all over again.
Oh my god.
For a little context there, when we first got into K-pop, GOT7 was the first group we tried to learn, and for way too long, we thought Yugyum's name was Yugyum.
That was wild. You
Wild,
expose
wild
us like
times.
that? I see.
I mean, I just admitted I've been calling this girl Cheese
Might as well
for,
throw another one in
at this
there.
point, like 5 years. Might as well, put our hearts fully out there,
You said you've been calling her a cheese for 5 years.
I started. It was for 4 years. If it's felt like longer.
That's fair.
I don't know what my life was before before all these dramas.
I question that too sometimes. I am absolutely there with you.
Also, I bring this up way too often, but I got another one of my boys that I just are so happy to see grace my screen.
Tor.
Tor. I'm he's great. I love him so much.
I was so here to see him in a series.
I'm always down to watch Tor in anything he's in.
Though I say that like I think I watched another series with him in it. Can I remember on top of my head? No, because I watched too much. But I know I probably did.
He was in Ocean's Love.
Yeah, there's that. Look, that's a sign I watch way too many dramas that I forget what drama someone is from and if I'm seeing them in more than one at the same time. And that's bad. That's real bad. Like right now I'm currently watching Neo and I keep forgetting Neo exists in the drama I'm currently watching right now. And so every time he pops up, I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
Neo, you're back. What are you doing here?"
I also forgot about that.
Mhm. He feels like an oddball in the show.
He really does.
I'm like, "Why are you here?" And to be honest,
Who's babysitting who here?
I don't know anymore. So yeah, I love seeing people I haven't seen in a while, or even if we have been seeing them. I love just seeing more of them.
Always excited to see an off drama.
I love his works so much.
I agree.
I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. I love like what he did with Cupid's Last Wish, and just the element wise. I'm not saying that was like a. I wasn't like obsessed with that series, but I'm obsessed with the series with the element of what he did, switching back and forth between the two characters when he got stuck in his sister's body. And I don't know. I just love how that came out.
So good.
Always here to see a series that Off has created.
Absolutely.
I know some people want to dream and wish to meet actors. Sometimes I just want to see the crew.
Yeah.
The script writers and like the producers and directors and some of the others like cinematographers. Oh my god, please. I want to meet them ASAP. Learn Thai so I can make it easier for them because I'd rather them be comfortable than them if they don't know speak English, which I'm sure some of them do. But if they don't, I'd rather them speak their native.
We've set the stage, and now it's time to delve deeper into Pluto. Spoilers ahead as we start with The Story in the Stars.
Some stories are written in the stars. Others are written by the twist of fate. The Story in the Stars, we explore the plot in detail, diving into character arcs, dramatic climaxes, and the conflicts, both necessary and unnecessary, that shape the narrative.
I will say, just to start, I actually really like this drama. I think the way it was developed, the story was developed throughout the series, it felt really nice. Like it, I didn't. I think the pacing was really well done because this show could easily like have dragged, and I feel like it didn't as much as it could have.
I think how we go through the storyline itself with Ai-oon trying to be Ob-oom in front of May, and
Hmm.
how we go through the transitioning of her trying to be Ob-oom and lying to May, quotation marks, and then the development of finding out that May knew it was Ai-oon and not Ob-oom
The entire time,
the entire time.
the entire time.
Like even before other things, to confessing, and then the sister coming back, and then the sister forgetting, and then the sister remembering everything, and to the end we get. So I really do think that was pretty good pacing. But diving into some of those story plots that were brought up, I want to jump. Can I jump straight to the end?
Go for it. We can work back.
One of the things that I thought was wild, wild story concept, but at the same time I loved, and I know maybe this could be brought up into the character arc, but there is a situation that happens towards the end, and I kind of, like I said, I think it could have been brought up in character arcs, character constellations, but, and I think it still can in further depth, is a wild element that was added had to have been when Ab-un gets her memory back and she kind of low-key kidnaps May, takes her to the
Yeah.
spot where Paul, right?
Hmm.
Like proposed, and then had Eun follow them out there, and then out of nowhere be like, okay, it's either me, your sister, or May.
Yeah.
And that was wild of a choice to be made in the story. And like
Yeah.
this was like towards the end of the storyline. So it was like, oh my
Hmm.
God. That's an insane thing to have someone choose between.
In that moment, I was like, "Oh, Boone, I dislike you very strongly."
I did too. I did too.
Like, girlie, I know you've been through a lot recently, but you can't be doing that.
Honestly, I kind of started disliking Ab-eun's character a lot. I don't know my full opinion on her at the very beginning of the series, but towards the times where it would talk about her relationship with May, I wasn't a big fan of her attitude.
I I feel similarly.
She was very obsessive in a very negative way,
Yeah.
which we do get a light shined on that a little bit more later on, but still it was kind of rough. But I will say, in that choice, one of the things I did like, while I did not like how it played out and how unfortunate it was for May, I actually
Hmm.
did like how, in most situations like this, in especially romance dramas, which is that's what it was, usually the lovers pick each other. But in this time, she chose family. I liked that. I hated that it had how bad
Yeah.
it was for May and like for Eun and everything, but I liked seeing a different portrayal in that setup.
Especially when like there is a heavy emphasis on Aeon's like growth and acceptance of like her place in like her familial dynamic
Mm-hmm.
throughout the story. And so like, I think it was like really like important for her to pick her sister in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
despite how much she loves May and everything.
Oh, absolutely. It really worked out well for the character, even though it was very devastating for the audience.
And a very shitty thing for a sister to do.
Oh, for sure. Like, I get it. You're jealous, you're mad, you're upset to relearn that same truth, but you already kind of put May through the punishment. Why in the world did we do it again? I'll never know.
Yeah.
That was real rough.
It was.
Going backwards, I will say. Since, I started at the end, why not, go backwards, like I said. I think it was interesting that May knew about Ai-oon, which makes sense because as a watcher, I was like, it's like it's got to be impossible, right? Like,
Yeah.
how does this woman make it that far into this relationship and everything? Literally questioning the relationship. I'm like, girl, you're supposed to be faking like you're Ob-oom, but you're like with May and you're like, oh yeah, did I used to do this? Like, what was I like? What was that, girl? That's a dead giveaway right there. I don't care if May's blind, but like the way she spoke, both her mannerism for starters was very different. But
Yeah.
she didn't even try. She didn't even try. The
No.
only time she ever really tried to really be Ob-oom was when she first went to meet her, which, to be fair, two things, like it's stated in the synopsis. She thought that it was a man. And two, that they weren't blind. So she dressed up like Ob-oom in fancy clothing, nearly tripping over
Yeah.
heels to go meet her. And then after that, when she's like found out she's blind and everything, she was like, oh yeah, I can go back to my normal clothes. Which, wild, by the way, extremely chaotic thing to do considering May has people around her perfectly
Yeah.
good vision. Like, they could literally very easily go up to May and being like, Ob-oom seems quite different. Like, she dresses, she's not
She's
as
wearing a
classy.
tracksuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Ob-oom wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
Yes, it was like, girl, what is going on? You're not committed to this, apparently. Your heart is committed because you are immediately fell for May, like, snap, like that. But, like, immediately, but you are not apparently, like, capable of properly pretending to be your sister. That, I feel
Yeah.
like, also shows how big of a rift that was between the siblings.
Yeah.
For her to not be able to pull off her sister that well was like, that shows so much. Which didn't, in the very beginning, when Ob-oom asked Ai-oon to be her, didn't Ai-oon say that they were very different? And Ob-oom was like, I'm going to prove to you how similar we can be? Or was it the other way around?
I don't remember.
Because that was said, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Or maybe that wasn't said, or maybe that wasn't said in that scene, but was said in the scene where she went to pretend to be her sister and wore her school uniform. I might have been
Maybe.
mixing up when that choice of words was placed in the storyline.
I think it I think it I feel like it was more of the school uniform now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's what I was started thinking about when I said it, because I was like, I feel like that's where it came from. Because if that's the case, it was Aoun that was like, I felt like we could be very similar, and took her clothing. Was like, I'm gonna go prove it, and
Mhm.
then ran off with her clothing, and
Yeah.
then had May do the whole misunderstanding, didn't know about the whole thing. So A was looking for Aoun, not Aoun. Anyways, so never mind. I think that came from there, but I do think that
Mhm.
was why Aoun didn't want to do it later on, because when she was like, "You're, do you mean you're dating someone else while getting fixing to get married? Like, you just got married?"
Yeah.
And so she was like, I'm not doing, something
Like,
bad for
you gotta
you."
fix your own problems.
Exactly. But to be fair, she had broken up with her, but she was trying to send Aoun to May and let that play out as whatever the freak she wanted that to play out. Because, curious question, what did she think was going to happen if something like an accident didn't show up? Because she asked for this before the accident happened.
Mhm.
So,
I don't know.
math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
Did she just want her sister to, like, because, like, it seemed like she was mad at May, but she was kind of rooting for May to a certain degree. because she was like, you're not allowed to have my sister, but I am going to like send her to you to break up, quote unquote, with, with me, and whatever you want to do with that to get her like her attention is up to your will. Like, she wasn't rooting for her, but she was like, I don't know, it was
Yeah,
weird.
that was really confusing to me as well. Like that entire confrontation after Obun realized that May fell in love with Ai-oon. Ai-oon?
Ai-oon.
I keep doing that. Ai-oon. But like yeah, that entire confrontation where after May's accident where she lost her vision and Obun found out that May was actually in love with Ai-oon was really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, a little bit heartbreaking too because May was
Devastated.
so confused and so scared.
Terrible timing.
Bad timing, yeah.
But like, speaking of May's accident, what about how, I don't know if what was his name, pronounced Kosol or something like that? How it was very close to Aeun, and how one slip of Aeun talking about wanting to get revenge for Ben
Mhm.
led Kosol to vandalize and like literally injure May, which we did find out was an accident. He wasn't trying to injure her. He was just really mad about the whole thing, which still
He
wrong.
was just yeah, he was his intention was mainly to scare her,
Mm-hmm.
which is still harassment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He probably still had it in him to damage like her property, which still
Mhm.
wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
But he definitely did not mean to end up causing her to go blind.
Like you can tell that as soon as like he sees May for the first time like after and him like slowly realizing that like oh she's blind and she wasn't before.
Uh-huh.
And he's like but it kind of works out for me because she just
Did it though? Did
oh
it though? Because she clocked his butt
that
immediately.
that is fair.
Because like she heard his voice, freaked out, like dropped, what was she holding, an ice cream or something? And
Ice
immediately
cream, yeah.
went to what's his name? Their cousin? No, yeah, her cousin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was like,
The
"Can you
doctor,
look
yeah.
in? Yeah, she's like, can you look into him and see if this is the same person that caused my accident?" And then found out he was. But on top of that, thank God, her cousin was like, also, yes, he's the one that caused your accident, and you could send him to jail. But by the way, he is also linked to Ben, the person who
Yeah.
the case file was against, and so
Yeah.
so there, I think because of that, that kind of saved Kosol, because, or Kosol, how you pronounce his name,
Yeah.
because having had that, she felt bad for Ben, what she had done because
Yeah.
of her dad, and trying to keep her relationship at the time with Ob-oom, not knowing, that it was the wrong person. Having done that, she already had felt remorse for what she had done and felt guilty. So it kind of help him get a little bit off the hook, because she was like it was like an eye for an eye kind of situation. We
Yeah.
both did something bad, and we can't fix it other than to like try to make up for it, essentially. Like, she sent money to try to help fund Ben, and like help him
Mm-hmm.
after what happened, especially with his mom and everything. And then, well, Console ends up working for her in the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like, he told her many times too. Like, was like, "Are you here to like take me to jail?" Like he was ready to admit, like, go to jail for what he did.
He was ready to fully take accountability for it, which I think is admirable.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, no, like, we can do other positive things with this situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very positive outlook on it. But like, man, did I feel bad for Ben the entire time.
We didn't get much of Ben for a long time.
I know.
Like, we would hear about him, and then we finally got to learn about him. But we really, to be honest, Ben was like the catalyst for the whole fall for everyone, and like
Mm-hmm.
what had happened to him. With the case for May that she had to take over for the hit, essentially. It was a hit and run, whatever. He
Hit
was
and
drunk,
run, yeah.
a DUI, right? And as
Mm-hmm.
well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so, on top of that, and then that case to also be related to Aeon, and spike up their hate for the person who let it go through, which was May. And then it's like it was the catalyst for all of that. But ironically,
Yeah.
he was like out of the picture for most of the whole thing, which was fair enough. Fair
It is
enough.
fair.
It was focused on the aftermath and everything, but we didn't get to learn hardly anything about Ben. To be honest, like, we did learn how he was like a good person. His mother was, a lovely lady and everything like that, and that he got hit by a vehicle on a bike. Like, but that's like pretty much it.
And then his mom, like, trying to help with medical bills, not realizing that the way that she died wasn't like the insurance was like didn't cover that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he lost her, and like it didn't even get, not that I'm saying that like losing his mother is like equivalent to whatever money that he could get from her. I'm not saying that, because like he would much rather have his mom around than the money that would have or could have
Mm-hmm.
come from that. But knowing that like he didn't even get that after everything, devastating.
That is so devastating. So like, there's so many twists in this series to like really look into, and sometimes not even twists, like twists, character arcs, different things that play into what happens.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers to it.
Having explored the stories in the stars, let's shine a light on character constellations where new stars await.
By mapping out character constellations, we chart the growth of our favorite characters, exploring how they shine brightly over time, evolve, and form unique constellations with the characters around them.
Diving into like immediately into the character constellations, particularly May's, is very interesting because I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but
May has like a huge web around her.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting how she was painted because of the fact that we kind of learn of May first in the form of, this sounds bad, but pity to
Hmm.
maybe she's kind of sus and has done something, to
Yeah.
her being, I don't want to say necessarily innocent, but like a lot more gentler than what they perceived her to have been, kind of malevolent to a certain degree. I don't know if that means that's a little harsh
Yeah.
word, but a there was like almost
Like
an
it wasn't
allure.
malicious.
Yeah, there was almost like a lure to like maybe she was the reason that Paul ended up in an accident, or that what happened to Ben was her fault. Like there was so many things. Like, yeah, it kind of. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't, but like there were so many things that alert that almost appeared that maybe she was a red flag painted green, and it was hidden right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then we learn more about her, and we learn that everything that happened was her attempting to, like, for example, like, get her dad off her back with their relationship, leave her alone, and like let her love who she loved, and her just trying to wish Ab-oom a farewell as well on her wedding night, which
Hmm.
essentially also her involved her asking if she was actually, didn't she call Paul?
Yes.
So she was kind of trying to just wish Paul a farewell to the relationship, because like actually that's kind of confusing. Why in the world would she have called Paul?
I don't know. Just
Like, now I'm starting to think about that just a little bit. Now I don't think she meant anything out of it, but why Paul out of everyone? Because like, did she call him to be like, you don't have to worry about me? But if you're doing that, that's a little sus. Like, well, now I'm starting to question things a little too much. But no, I still think she was a very, she was definitely a web of a character with so many different things, and
hmm.
the way she was painted was a very interesting progression, and especially more so or less so in a character arc, more so as an uncovering of a character,
Hmm.
because I feel like that doesn't get talked a lot. And now that I'm thinking about, is there even a word for that? Because like the most popular term is character arcs, and that is a growth of a character. But for her, it was less of a growth and more of a audience uncovers, because we're uncovering a whole truth about her personality as the story progresses.
I'm sure there is a word for it. but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Also with May, I think it was a very fun realization coming through when like it is finally revealed that she knows that the Aeon is Aeon and not Obum, because that I saw it coming
Mhm.
just because of everything that happened, but like the confirmation of it was very, very satisfying, you know.
I will say though, I didn't like that she knew, and like she did eventually step up to try to like no, there were certain things I didn't like about her personality, and I but at the same time
Yeah.
understood why she did the things the way she did. And that has to particularly be with knowing that this Up-oon was Aeon, right?
Mhm.
And it was the fact that she was like, I'm gonna confess to Up-oon that she knew she was Aeon. And the weird part about it to me was that her ex-girlfriend gets involved and leads
Yeah.
Up-oon or Aeon to think about the fact that she's viewed as Up-oon, even though the ex knew that she was also Aeon. And then this led her to get in her head. So then when May went to like tell her that, you were my first love, whatever, and got really like emotional and it was really sweet. When that was happening, I immediately, knowing A's mindset, was like, you're crushing her. Like you're trying to be romantic, but you are
Yeah.
crushing her to the core. And then to turn around and learn from her cousin and like put the pieces together, like from her cousin and her ex, putting the pieces together to realize that A was drunk and got like upset about the whole thing was due to the fact that she didn't like the idea of being Up-oon anymore, and was devastated, and that May supposedly only liked Up-oon. To turn around and be like, I can't tell I can't tell her who I am anymore. She has to come to the
Mhm.
terms and figure it out.
Like even like when she like is trying to get to the point where she's like trying to tell Aeon that she knows in a weird kind of roundabout way. When she like goes to like say like I love you, and like Aeon like cuts her off by kissing her because like she didn't want to hear her say I love you and maybe like tack on Obum's name,
Uh-huh.
because like that after all of that, like knowing her feelings, but knowing that like she thinks still thinking that May sees me as my twin. Devastating.
Extremely.
I felt bad for her for a lot of the time in the series.
Yeah, that was real rough for Aeon.
Yeah, I will say when Aeon leaves and like goes and gets drunk, is found by cousin Doctor just on the side of the road, drunk off her ass. Takes her back to the hotel room, saying like, "I found this. I'm returning it to you." She tries to taking off her clothes because it's hot,
Uh-huh.
and May, who is blind, is trying to shield her from her cousin, who again is a doctor.
Yes. Oh my god, that was so fun. He was like, "I'm a doctor. Why are you shielding? I've seen naked women before." And he's like, "Not my woman."
And she's like, not mine.
And never mind. So back away. That was so funny to me. That was adorable.
I really liked that scene. That was fun. Bringing up like May's kind of family with her cousin and all. Why do all of these GLs feature at least one of the main leads having really bad daddy issues?
Mm-hmm.
Because her father was awful to her.
Oh my god. Also, I still don't understand how he came to like be quote unquote
Yeah,
his redemption arc, because it didn't make sense. It wasn't
and
out of
it
the
didn't.
blue per se, because she was like she kind of said stuff that would have triggered someone to maybe
Hmm.
think about everything, but it still felt that way with the way they rushed it in the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about his, but I will say, didn't like him at all.
I didn't either.
He definitely deserved to be behind bars, at least for the people he had her try to. She
The
could have lost her
corruption.
license
Yeah,
for the people he wanted her to win cases for.
Yeah.
Wild.
A lot of corrupt dads in Taijil. Moving on to Aeun. I loved her. I really liked her.
She was really sweet for someone that was presented
Hmm.
to be,
Like the tougher, quote unquote.
yeah, the tough one out of the two.
Yeah. Girl's got some like high EQ.
Mm-hmm.
Very aware of like socially what is going on around her. Is like very emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she views it and like feels it, which is it's very nice to see. Like with Aeon, there's so much to be said about like how like she grew up to be like kind of like she visually presents herself as like this more like nonchalant kind of I don't care kind of vibes when like she deeply cares about the people around her that she cares about.
Yeah.
When growing up, she was kind of the twin that was, in her viewpoint, kind of like in the shadows of her sister. As like the series goes on, like you learn that their grandmother, like it didn't mean for like that wasn't her intention, and like that doesn't diminish what Aeon felt like her entire life, but the acknowledgement of like I will do better, I will
Mm-hmm.
all of that was very sweet.
It really was. It was really, it was, I like that we got to understand more so her situation with
Hmm.
her grandmother and her sister and stuff like that, and both why she ended up viewing her life the way she did, and how her grandmother and her sister viewed her presence as well.
Hmm. We've journeyed through the story in the stars and character constellations, but now let's explore secondary stars for one last perspective.
Not all stars shine in the spotlight. Some twinkle quietly in the background. Stilling hearts and adding depth, let's talk about the side couples and characters who bring their own brand of magic to the drama in secondary stars.
The side couple in this show confuse me to all get out.
I was so confused to the point that I actually had Cyrus spoil who the actual side couple was. Cuz I thought the way it's set up, it was set up that Peng and Pim were together.
Hmm.
And then there was this like illusion or like this word to the possibility that Jan and Pim might not like each other. Pim and Pang break up. And then left field, Pang all of a sudden likes Jan.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
And they end up together at the end.
Honestly would have liked more of their story because it was so
Yeah,
little of their story given to us. I kind of actually struggled to follow along with what was going on to them. Like
I agree.
still not even sure when Jan and Pang, like Pang started liking Jan, because it was definitely before Jan liked Pang, like because Jan still liked Pim. And so, but I don't know where that would have started. Like, the only scene I can even possibly think where that started, unless I somehow missed it and got skipped, was like when they needed to do something for Ai-oon, and they ended up meeting together alone. But there wasn't even much material given to us from that scene alone. And so I'm kind of confused to when Pang fell for Jan. Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Also, one of the most wildest moments to me was when Pim ends up, uh, like, they were all together, and Pim's talking to Jan and being like, how I know Pang likes you, but I still like Pang, and that's why I can't be in a relationship with you, even though you like me. And then, but at the same time, there's like a choice thing being thrown at Jan. And the next thing you know, there's no choice because Pang in the freaking front of him, who is already so heartbroken because of Pang. And on top of that,
Yeah.
watching her ex also move on so quickly.
So quickly, yeah.
So quickly. And not only that, but was also in a relationship where apparently she was just a replacement for A.
Hmm.
Freaking wild. But then move on and in front of her kiss Jan.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god. That was insane of a move to pull.
It really was.
So my question is, what in the world was going on for this side couple?
Who
I'm not
truly knows?
100% sure this was a triangle. I mean, this was a perfect triangle. I'll take it back. This was a perfect triangle. Because Pim
But somehow in the
liked...
middle, it was like just a squirrel squiggle of just mess.
It was. I will say we do get a perfect triangle though, because Pim likes
Hmm.
Pang likes Jan, and Jan likes Pim, so like it's like the perfect triangle,
Yeah.
but make it completely savage. Like it's not even that situation, or people are like, in order for it to be a triangle, at least two of the same sex has to like each other. Not in this one, man. It's the same sex all around. I say that because, like, in the traditional sense, when people
Hmm.
usually talk about romance, the queer
Yeah.
community didn't get brought up, so it was usually, two guys fighting over a girl. So people were like, for this to be a triangle, technically two guys had to like each other. But in this
At
one,
least one of the guys has like, yeah.
they were completely a minute out of the thing. Okay, no men allowed in this relationship, in this triangle.
Like the triangle in A Dangerous Romance, where
Hmm.
don't remember character's name at this point. I know Kang. There's more to his name, but I don't remember it. Um, Perth liked, was it, is it View or June?
I
It's
don't
View, I
remember.
think. I always get them mixed up, and I feel really bad about it. View likes Chimin, and Chimin likes Perth.
Hmm. Like that's the one that's the triangle I was joking about, because that's the one we used to kind of grow up hearing about, where people were like, it's not a triangle if it doesn't, it's an angle if two of them don't like each other. This was a true triangle, and it was a messy triangle, because I was like, what in the world is going on
So
here?
confusing. I would say a lot of like the secondary, like or like supporting characters of the show kind of felt underutilized,
Mm.
I guess. Like we were talking about, the side couple is confusing because they didn't get enough screen time to kind of flesh out their story. Ben doesn't show up nearly as much as he probably could have, considering how important he is to the catalyst of this entire thing.
Hmm.
And even with Thor's character, it feels like we could have like explored him maybe a little bit more, because like we do know that like him and Ayun did date at one point. Figured that they were better off as friends,
Hmm.
and then like the whole thing with Ben happens. Ayun like makes like the offhanded comment of like wanting to get like revenge for like avenge Ben.
Hmm.
Tor's character is just like, I I can do that, and like gets her to cover his shift at the mechanic shop. I'm just like, how did that happen? Like, how did that plan? Like, was that like a plan? And I don't remember if it was fully.
I don't know. That's a great question.
Because like, I know that like when like that kind of comes to light, Aeon feels guilty
Hmm.
about what happens to May, due to like it wouldn't have happened if I didn't cover him at the shop, or
Yeah.
like what I said. But I don't know if like it was a more like in-depth thing where she knew what Tor's character was going to do or not. And I don't
I
remember.
don't remember if it was brought to light that she like knew what he was gonna do. I mean, I think she had an idea of it, but
Yeah.
I definitely don't think she knew it was gonna end up in the extent it ended up in.
No. I don't think any of them expected
No.
the whole blind.
No, absolutely not.
Like even with Jan, I know like you and your sister aren't close, but you like just straight up like you don't know like your sister's seemingly only friend
That was
until she's in a
weird.
coma, and she just immediately becomes like your number one like confidant in trying to like become your sister poorly,
Hmm.
but become your sister nonetheless.
It did make sense. There were some holes, but that's okay.
I wish like we knew like why Jan like was like fully convinced that like May was the cause of the accident, like in a malicious manner.
Maybe I think it was the phone
Oh,
number.
that is right. I did forget about that.
I think it was the phone number. I think she had a feeling that's who the phone number belonged to. She thought it had to do with jealousy, I believe.
I think so, because no one knew that they were kind of already on the out.
But if she thought it had to do with something with jealousy, then wouldn't she have been aware of the things that was going on with Ob-oom in order to, like, it wouldn't have made sense for Jan to help Ai-oon trick May, knowing that May probably already knows the whereabouts of Ob-oom. But then again, I think she knew a lot more than she let on, to the point that I think she
Yeah.
also was aware of the situation with how she knew. I think she knew that Ob-oom was going to ask Ai-oon to go be her, and that there was,
Hmm.
and she might have known the whole situation between them. But if that's the case, that still leads back to why was she so committed to the fact that the idea that May was the cause.
Yeah, there's a lot about the series. It's kind of confusing, and like this, all of the side characters didn't help that. In fact, kind of added to it in some regards.
If it was the side couple, then it for sure added to the confusion.
They're off in their own thing. That was really confusing, but that's okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
As we prepare to leave the stars behind, let's gather the stardust of our experience and share our final reflections on Pluto.
Like we were just saying, like this show is kind of confusing in a lot of different kind of regards, but like that doesn't make it bad. It's still a fun
Not at all.
show. It's definitely one of those shows where it is best enjoyed if you just kind of take off your logic cap and like hang it up on the wall for the duration of the episode. But sometimes you need shows like that because sometimes you just really want to turn your brain off. And when a show kind of makes you confused, if you are paying attention to every little detail, that's your sign to just turn your brain off and enjoy the show for what it is. A fun little good little time.
Yeah, I think it's still just a series, a little fun series to watch. I think it does a good job with the story it tells. Like, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Like, we pointed out some little, like,
Mm-mm.
questions we had about it, but in reality, I mean, it's pretty coherent for the most part, minus the
Yeah,
confusion with the side couple and certain elements. But almost every series is like that. It is so hard to put something together so smoothly, Ex-
yeah.
especially when it's not a lot of people. Like, I know this was a lot of people, but I don't think, did the script writing have a lot?
Not that I remember.
So I don't think it was like, it definitely wasn't anything like the one where it had, like, what, how many
Six,
screenwriters?
six,
6
six
screenwriters.
screenwriters. This is Petrichor.
Oh, that was wild. And so, to be fair, I don't think there's as many, like, minds behind it, but it was still a really good series.
Oh, absolutely.
I know a lot of people revered it as, like, one of, like, the best GLs, especially of 2024.
Honestly, kind of valid.
I mean, it's to each their own opinions, but, like, it was good.
That is
It
also fair.
was. I'll give
It
it
was
that
very
for
good.
sure.
I do also want to say that, like, I really do think that Namtam did a good job at depicting the twins and
Mm-hmm.
having them distinct enough from each other, where like you can tell like who was who, because like that's hard.
So it's a good series. I think it's a good GL for sure.
Absolutely. If you haven't given it a chance, it's definitely worth a watch.
Then again, I don't think many people would listen to this series Satellite if they hadn't seen it.
You never know.
You never know.
Some people may use these type of things to gauge if they want to watch a series.
That's fair. Some people really like spoils. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Stars Align Dramas and Dreams podcast, where we meet amongst the stars that illuminate the love stories that light up our universe and connect us all.
If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and share your stardust and thoughts with us. We'd love to hear your comments, favorite moments, or suggestions for what we should explore next.
You can connect with us in the comments or through our socials, as well as our email that are linked in the description. Let's keep the conversation going under the stars.
Until next time, keep dreaming, keep listening, and remember, love always shines brightest in the cosmos.
Bye.
Bye.